Would you give someone the keys to your own destruction over and over just to avoid another explosion? Imagine living on a fault line, never knowing when the next emotional quake will hit. Would you run or wait to see if this time everything finally falls apart? Some days it feels like my life is just a string of tiny landmines. The smallest misstep can set everything off. But today, the blast came not from what I did, but what I didn't do. A locked credit card, a single declined transaction, and suddenly the world explodes. What do you do when the people closest to you build the bomb, hand you the trigger, and then scream when it goes off? This time, they say it's over. But is it ever really over? Or is that just another bluff in the endless game of control? In our house, the weather report is useless. The real forecast is always emotional. Sudden storms, high pressure fronts, and a lingering fog of blame. I'm the husband, too stubborn, too slow to act, always a step behind the next catastrophe. My wife, 50-something and volcanic, controls the flow of everything. Money, decisions, emotions. Our daughter, nearly 30, drifts in and out of the crossfire, sometimes an ally, sometimes collateral damage. Picture a kitchen table littered with bills, phones, cold coffee. My wife's voice is the daily alarm, sometimes gentle, more often sharp. She paces, eyes flicking to every detail, hunting for mistakes. My daughter floats in late, headphones on, hoping to pass unnoticed. But in this house, nobody escapes the audit for long. Relief is fleeting. Most days I measure success by how long it takes for the first accusation to land. Maybe I'm weak for staying. Maybe I'm just too numb to move. But I know this much. Every decision feels like a test I'm doomed to fail. It started with a text, almost a month ago, a plea, a warning, maybe a last-ditch attempt to regain some control over our spiraling finances. Stop racking up the credit card. Figure out what you owe and pay me back. I'm locking the card so we don't keep digging the hole. Simple. Reasonable, I thought. I hit send and braced for backlash that never came. At least not right away. Maybe she didn't read it. Maybe she just decided to ignore it. For a brief, fragile moment, things felt almost quiet. Then today. My phone vibrates, her name, the screen already heavy with threat. I answer, knowing better, but hoping anyway. Her voice is instantly sharp, greeted by shouting at the other end, the words brittle and loaded. "What happened to the credit card? It was declined. Why can't I use it?" she shouted. I remind her, calmly, maybe too calmly. "Remember, I locked it. We talked about this. I said I'd do it so we wouldn't rack it up anymore." That's all it takes. The fuse is lit. The explosion isn't just words, it's a full-body detonation. I hold the phone away as she screams, the kind of rage that seems designed to shatter glass. "You gotta be fucking kidding me." I don't even try to answer. I know the script by heart. She's not angry about the money, not really. It's about control, about being blindsided, about me pulling a lever she didn't approve. Every line in her tirade is a bullet point in a case she's been building for years. I'm selfish. I'm unreliable. I'm the reason nothing works. I want to protest, to explain, to remind her that this was a last resort. But I know better. Logic is gasoline on this fire. My silence is my only shield. But even that is a provocation. Don't you ever ask me for anything ever again. Fucking nothing. We are done. Fuck you. The texts pile up, all caps, each one angrier than the last. "Remember the dream I had where you betrayed me? Here it fucking is. Go fuck yourself." Suddenly, our past is ammunition. Old dreams, old wounds, all twisted into proof that I was always the enemy. And then, the ultimatum. Her and my daughter, planning to leave for another state. If you want to move with us, pay 50% of the moving expenses in advance. If not, stay here. We're moving without you. The air is thick with threats, but also with the familiar sense that this is just another round in an endless game. I've heard this all before, each time dressed up in new words, but always with the same ending. Small wins, small losses. Each attempt to assert myself backfires. I try to keep things civil. She calls it manipulation. I set boundaries. She calls it betrayal. I explain. She says I'm making excuses. Every move I make is a lose-lose. Even doing nothing is an affront. But here's the twist. I realize, in the middle of all this, that she needs the chaos. The control, the fights, even the threats to leave. They're not just tactics. They're the scaffolding of her reality. Without them, there's nothing left to hold up the illusion that she's in charge. And me? I'm just the co-star in her drama, cast to play the villain, the scapegoat, the weak link she can always point to when things fall apart. If I left, if I actually walked away, called her bluff, it wouldn't just be the end of us. It would be the end of her story. The thing she fears most isn't being alone. It's losing control. The calls get louder, more frantic. I stop answering, but the texts keep coming. I sit in my room, the silence almost a relief, but also a trap. After all these years, I've more or less become immune to all this. Why can't I just walk away? Why do I stay, hoping that the next time will be different? I grab my keys, tempted to just drive and keep driving. But I know I won't. Not yet. Not today. The cycle is too well worn. The threat of leaving, hers or mine, always hangs in the air but never lands. Outside, the world keeps turning. Inside, it's another storm, another round of accusations waiting just around the corner. The phone buzzes again. Her number, her words. Maybe an apology, maybe another attack. I don't look. Tomorrow, or maybe next week, she'll calm down. The threat will fade, the apology will come. The blame will shift back to something trivial. We'll patch the cracks, ignore the fault lines, and go back to pretending this is normal. But the lesson sticks, sharp as ever. Sometimes the worst prisons are the ones we build together, brick by brick, excuse by excuse. Freedom is scary, but so is the thought of staying. One day, the next explosion might finally tear the whole thing down. If you're walking your own minefield, ask yourself, are you really stuck? Or just afraid of the silence that comes after the blast? If you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, subscribe and follow for the next episode. There's always another story. Sometimes the most chaotic lives make the best lessons.